It looks like some people in D.C. hate President Trump more than they want to be safe. So look at this crowd from last night. Near downtown D.C., about a mile and a half from the White House, they're jeering at federal officers who are there trying to be part of this crime crackdown. And they're also just blocks from where someone was murdered the other night. That's the feeling towards President Trump in D.C. Trump is standing his ground on his decision to put boots on the ground in D.C. because he knows that keeping the Americans safe, in his words, is not only the right thing to do, but he'll tell you right out there, it's also very good politics.
The biggest issue right now, and an issue that's really taken hold, is crime, stopping crime in the cities, and the Democrats are fighting the stopping of crime. So I think that's like men playing in women's sports is okay, or transgender for everybody okay. Well, I had calls from many, many friends, including Democrats. I have a lot of Democrat friends, but they're normal people. And they were thanking me so much for what I'm doing in D.C. They feel so safe already.
Democratic strategist who served as the senior advisor to Kamala Harris, founder and chief strategy officer of Authentic, Mike Nellis, is with us. Also the author of the Substack Endless Urgency. I subscribe. You should as well. He has 1 million subscribers. It is awesome perspective. Mike, it's good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are Democrats getting played on this?
No, I think when Donald Trump is politically weak, he likes to change the terrain. So what he wants to do is, it's no secret to me that the timing of his announcement to federalize the DC police force came one day before the new inflation numbers came out, showing that inflation rose to 3.1% after he declared that he defeated inflation. So he's being very intentional here about trying to change the topic to something that he wants to be the #1 issue, because the #1 issue in this country right now is the economy, and people are struggling right now. It's why his approval rating is tanking. So he would rather focus on crime, which is safer territory for him.
Okay. Look, wouldn't be the first president to change the topic or to put out bad news on a Friday, whatever you want to call it. But at some level, though, Democrats, I feel like, are playing into this because they're creating this fight over whether crime is a problem in D.C. I live in D.C. Crime is unquestionably a problem. Don't even believe me. Here's MSNBC this morning.
The answer to this problem for Democrats is not, oh, everything's okay, there's nothing to see here, move along, move along. Oh, Washington has dropped 24% or whatever in crime. Well, let me give you some other numbers. The Washington Post took a poll at late April, early May. 91% of Washington residents say crime is a problem. 91%.
There's lots of other sound bites like this. Are Democrats making a mistake trying to convince everybody that crime in D.C. isn't a problem, thus, to your point, taking Trump's bait?
I think this is the same as the economy. Like, when people aren't feeling safe and they're not feeling economically safe right now, there's nothing that you can say to them to convince them otherwise. Crime is down in major cities, but getting into a giant back and forth with Donald Trump on the crime statistics isn't going to make anybody feel safer. I think Democrats should start talking about how we're going to make our cities safer. I think we need to do a better job of executing on that. But I don't want to get off of this fact for a second, because Donald Trump wants to be talking about this. He's giving conservative media a lot of fodder and something else to talk about. Last couple of weeks, it's been Sydney Sweeney's jeans. Now it's crime. He's making very intentional decisions to play a game of politics. Well, hold on, Leland, let me finish making my point real quick, and then I want to hear from you. He's pulled federal agents, FBI agents, off of doing their jobs. Right now, they're not investigating major federal crimes. They're not doing counterterrorism. They're not doing sex trafficking, not doing drug trafficking and other stuff. They should be doing that. If Donald Trump wants to get more police on the streets of D.C. or any other major city, the Republican budget that he signed cut $2 billion for community policing. That means there'll be fewer cops on the streets. So I doubt the sincerity.
Look, it's a different argument. I understand the one you're making. Yeah. I think the argument also over the National Guard is really interesting. And to be fair, Democrats love now talking about this issue, as evidenced by Chuck Schumer on a progressive podcast.
If he went to Congress and said, you know what, there's this crime emergency, we need the National Guard out there longer, we need to take over Washington, D.C., would you grant it?
No way. We'll fight him tooth and nail.
There's something weird about hearing some guy wearing reading glasses cursing, but beside the point. There are National Guard troops on the streets and in the subways of New York City that by all measurable standards has lower crime than D.C., 1/5 the murder rate of D.C., and nobody cares. Are Democrats making a mistake with this hypocrisy of saying so terrible for the National Guard to be in D.C. when Democratic governors do the very same thing and people praise them for being tough on crime?
Well, but let's talk about how the National Guard ended up in New York City, which is that the governor and local officials requested it. In Los Angeles, it was the first time in a very long time that the National Guard was sent to a state when the governor didn't request it. And so what Donald Trump has repeatedly done is not listen to local leaders who are trying to handle this situation. There is progress on crime.
If local leaders aren't doing a good job, shouldn't the president do it?
No, I think there's a system here. You wouldn't like it if suddenly if a Democratic president was sending the National Guard to Alabama, which, by the way, you're more likely to be murdered in Alabama than you are in California. And there's plenty of other Republican states where the crime and murder rate is high. Where's the cry out for that? He's making an intentional decision to go after Democratic cities, which is fine.
That is a debate. That is a debate for another time, and we're going to have you back to have that because the conversations between you and I are important ones. It's good to see you, my friend.
I enjoy them. Thanks, Leland.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.